faithful in. So early on in my stand-up career, I had the opportunity to do stand-up comedy in a prison. And I got there, and they were like, well, do you need anything? Do you want anything? And I was like, no. And then I was like, actually, wait, can I have a phone call? I just want to call my parents from Nashville County Prison. And have that come up on their caller ID. With my voice being on the other end. Being like, hey guys, so you know how you homeschooled me to keep me out of jail? Joke is on you, I ended up here anyway. The joke was actually on me though, because through some mix-up, I ended up performing in front of the male inmates. It is funny. In the area where they lived. So let me see if I can paint this picture for you. So like the back wall were their bunk beds, and then they had this common area where there were tables, where some of the guys were like eating, playing cards, making shivs. And then on the far ends of the room were their open showers. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail, but let's just say some of those convicts were cleaning up their act. I got in there and I was like, Jesus, I don't know when you plan on returning, but now's a pretty good time for me. But you learn things about yourself when you're in these new situations. So girls know, like we have a numbering system for the way we look. Like I'm a Hollywood 2. I'm an everyday like 5 or 6 depending on the humidity level. You guys, I am a prison 30,000. Yeah. Inmates were coming up to me and they kept saying, they're like, yo, you should be on the cover of magazines. And I was like, yes, thank you, finally somebody gets it. I think they're gonna put me on the cover of Shawshank Weekly right after this. But after it was all over, there was a few minutes left before the guard came and took us all. It was me and a couple of people from the ministry team, and all I wanted was to get out of there. I was so far out of my comfort zone. And one of the things that sometimes happens when you're raised in a Christian bubble is that you have a lot of fear. And so that was something I've always battled, was fear, and I just wanted out. And then from across the room, at one of the tables, this inmate stands up, and he says, hey, homeschool, come over here. And I was like, oh good, I have a prison nickname. So I went over there, and he said, I have been praying that God would send someone into this prison to answer my questions. And as soon as you said you were homeschooled, I knew it was you. And he went on to ask me questions about grace and forgiveness and apologetics of all things, which is something I had questions about a few years earlier, so I had the answers. And it was this beautiful moment of seeing how God worked even in the most uncomfortable of circumstances. And so the best part of the whole thing was I wrote a blog about the whole experience, and my mom tried to repost that blog to Facebook, but she forgot to include the link to the blog. So all she ended up putting was a status that said, uh-oh, Kristen went to jail. So I start getting like texts and emails and calls. They're like, Kristen, we saw your mom's update. They're like, what happened? And I was like, oh man, I got 2 options here. I can either correct the story, or I can do what I did, which was really commit, and I changed my relationship status to in a relationship with prisoner 67042, AKA Robert Downey Jr. My name is Kristen Weber. You guys have been a joy to entertain this evening.